Hey guys, so going back from yesterday's lesson on histograms, and I was talking a little bit about mean, median, mode, but today I'm actually going to tell you what does that mean and how do we actually calculate it. So some of this might look familiar to you if you've done it before, and that's okay. So one of the ways to analyze data is to do a few simple calculations. The first set, mean, median, and mode, tell us where the middle of the data is. And then I'm also going to talk about two calculations, range and standard deviation, that tells us how spread out the data is. And I'm going to show you with an example. So I've already written the example here. So let's start with mean, because that's probably the one that you guys have seen before a number of times, and you've probably used it to calculate like what your average grade in a course might be. So the mean is also called, I just said it, the average. And so basically what you're going to do is sum or add all the terms and divide by the number of terms. So using our example, let's do that. The first step, we're going to add them all up. So if you add them all up, we got 48 plus 28. So I added them up, and I got a total sum of 805. And then what you're going to do is then divide by how many you have. So if you counted how many numbers we have 14. So we're going to divide by 14. So 805 divided by 14 is 57.5. So for this example, or this set of data, it could be like marks in a class. We would say our average mark is 57.5. So that's the mean. The mode is how many is the number that occurs most often, or the data value that occurs So if we look through this set of data, what I'm looking for is the number that maybe I see the most or that is repeated. I can see that 87 is 2 times. And what else do I see? We got a 72 and a 72. So they're there twice. And it looks like those are the ones that appear the most. So in this case, because they both occur 2 times, so you could say they both occur the most. So you can say that 87 and 72 are the mode. It is possible, I'm going to write it in a different color. It is possible that you don't have any mode. To have no mode. And if you don't have a mode, that means that none of the numbers are repeating. So it's possible to have that. It's possible to have only 1. It's possible to have 3 or 4. It just means that you have to look at the data and see how many times. But it is the one that occurs the most. So if you have 3 that occur 3 times and one number that occurs 4, it'll be the one that occurs 4 times. So that is the mode, the one that occurs most often. Okay, the median is actually the number that is in the middle. The number in the middle. In the middle of the data. Now, what that requires is that we put the numbers in order first, and then we find out which one is in the middle. So let's put the numbers in order. And I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to do it, but you can do it on your sheet and try to figure out what order they go in. And I usually do from lowest to highest, so I kind of just list them from lowest to highest. Like if I look here, the lowest number there looks like 28, and then 31, and I sometimes just like cross them off so I know that I have them. So I'm going to pause it, I'm going to finish doing it, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so as you can see now, I've put them all in order. And the thing to do now is just find the middle one. So I kind of start on the two ends, like here and here, and I sort of work my way in until I get to the middle. And so these two, you'll notice in this case, when we get to the middle's right here. So it's between two numbers. So what you're actually going to do, if you have two numbers, so sometimes you'll get to the middle and there actually is a middle number, and that would be the median. But sometimes you have two median numbers, and what you're going to do is take the average of the two of them to find the actual middle. So in this case, we have 54 and 64, and we're going to divide by 2 just to find the average. So just add them together, divide by 2. Again, you're only going to do this when you have two numbers in the middle. If you just have one number, it's straight up just that one number. So if I add them up and divide by 2, I get a number of 59, which is smack dab in the middle of those two numbers. So I would say my median of this data set is 59. The range is super easy. It is just the distance between the highest value and the lowest value. Between highest and lowest. And so all you're going to do is take the highest number or the very highest digit in your list, which is nice when you've done the median, because we know that our highest is 87 and our lowest was 28. So we're just going to subtract them. 87 minus 28 means that we have a range of 59. And all that's saying is that in between our highest and our lowest is 59 places, or 59 possible marks. So that's our range. So standard deviation is one of those tools that they use to kind of measure how accurate or spread out the data is from the mean. There are a couple of different steps to actually figure this out, and it is a little bit tedious. I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. If I ever ask you to do it by hand, it's like to do a very small set of numbers. But otherwise, I will show you. I'm going to try to find a video that shows you how to find an app that will do it for you. It's kind of nice because it is a little bit involved. So the first thing to do is to find the mean. And we've already done that in our previous exam, or like in the example. And we know it's 59.5. I think it was. Hold on. Yeah, I figured I was wrong. It's 57.5. So I'm just going to erase it. 57.5. And so that's the first step. The second step, you're going to subtract the mean from every term. From all terms. And then you're going to square it. And you're going to square each answer. So I'll do the first one just to show you. So we have 28 was our first term, minus 57.5, and we're going to square it. And then we'll do it to the next one. And then we're going to square it. So you're going to do that for every single term. So I'm going to pause it for the sake, and I'm actually going to calculate them all. And then I'll come back to you. But I'll just do the first one. So 28 minus 57.5 is negative 29.5, and then we're going to square it. So multiply it by itself. And in this one, we get 870.25. So what you're going to do is you're going to do that to every single one. It does take a little bit of time, but I'm going to do them all. Right now, I'm going to pause the video, do them all, and then I'll come back to you and show you the last steps. Okay, so I have added them all up. You can see it is a little bit of a process, but they're all added up here. And they're all sitting there, every single one of them. So the last thing we're going to do, the next step, step 3, is to add them all up. Add them all up. I'm going to pause again and just add them all up. So we're going to add 870.25 plus 702.25 plus 585.64. And then we're going to come back to it. That one looks wrong. I might change that one. Hold on. So yes, I was wrong, but I fixed it. And then I added them all up, and it came to 5,289.5. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to divide by how many we have by number of values. And we already know that because we counted them earlier and we have 14. So I'm going to take 5,289.5 and divide by 14, which is 377.82. And then the last step we're going to do is square root it. So if I square root that, I get an answer of 19.43. So basically that's saying that most of the data is spread out between two of those two standard deviations from the mean. So if our mean is sitting at 57.5, if you go 19.4 plus 19.4 and minus 19.4, that's the bulk of the data. And then if you go one more, that's about 95% of the data. So within two standard deviations. I'm going to try and also find a video that kind of explains it a little bit better. But that is how you do the calculations. If you were to do that by hand, you'll see it is a lot of work. Not for the first ones, but for that standard deviation. But it really tells us a lot about the data. So it's good to know how to do it. That's all I have for today, but I'll try and find some other videos to kind of help you out. And then there's the practice and quiz. All right, bye guys.